For all of you watching on PBS and around the globe, a warm welcome to BBC World News. We start in Sri Lanka, where protesters say they will end their occupation of government buildings after it was announced that President Gotabaya Rajapaksa's resignation was expected shortly. A curfew's been in place after security forces clashed with protesters. Mr. Rajapaksa fled Sri Lanka for the Maldives. Now the BBC understands he is on a Saudi Airlines flight headed for Singapore. He did not resign on Wednesday as previously promised. The demonstrators say they will continue peaceful protests. At least 45 people are said to have been hospitalised after clashes between riot police and protesters near the Parliament building, as people demanded the resignation of the President and the Prime Minister. Our South Asia correspondent, Anbarasan Ethirajan, is in Colombo with the latest.
The government says that the curfew in and around the western province, that includes the capital Colombo, it has been lifted. That's why you are seeing the movement of various vehicles here. But the state of emergency, it is still in place across the country. Even though the situation appears a bit calm today, this morning, after what happened yesterday with people storming the office of the Prime Minister and then clashes between protesters and the security forces near Parliament building last evening, where I was. But again, the protest leaders have rejected the Gazette notification by President appointing Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe, who is the Prime Minister, as the acting President. Actually, people in Sri Lanka were waiting for this resignation letter from Mr. Rajapaksa as promised earlier. But the Speaker's office, the Speaker of Parliament's office, this morning told us that they have not yet received that letter. That is surprised many people because they were hoping that Mr. Rajapaksa would leave at least the political crisis at one step towards some sort of solution. But that has not happened yet. And the protest leaders say they are going to have another meeting to reassess the situation, and then they will announce the strategy later in the day.
And if and when that resignation letter from President Rajapaksa comes, Anbarasan, what then politically? What will fill the vacuum?
By constitution, the Prime Minister takes over as the interim president if the resignation letter comes, but Speaker can also be the interim president. And they already announced that the Parliament will be convened on Friday to discuss these procedures and hold a vote in Parliament to choose the next president, because whoever assumes the charge of interim president will be there only for 30 days. But now this Gazette notification puts everything in question, whether is there any need for Parliament to choose another president, because now he has appointed Mr. Wickremesinghe as the president now. So Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe is a very seasoned politician. He has lost quite a few elections in this country, but now he's the acting president. And some of his comments yesterday, like asking military to restore order, has really triggered anger among the protesters here. So the political crisis still continues and the uncertainty continues. But because of all these developments, no one can predict what will happen later in the day, because the protesters are also talking through social media, mobilizing people. So we are waiting to see what the next move would be.
That's Anbarasan Ethirajan. Well, Saroj Patirana is a journalist in Sri Lanka, and he's in Colombo as well. Thank you very much, Saroj, for talking to us. We're hearing that President Rajapaksa is now on a Saudi Airlines flight to Singapore with his personal bodyguards and his wife. Is that tallying with the reports you're getting?
Yeah, I also spoke to some sources in Maldives, and I was also told that they are hearing that the president has left for Singapore. He was expected to leave last night and arrive Singapore last night itself, and he was expected to send in the resignation letter before the midnight yesterday in Sri Lankan time, as Anbarasan clearly mentioned. But that did not happen. But what we hear from the Maldives and other sources, Reuters just reported that he is on board a flight to Singapore at the moment. What happened was that, according to reports and according to sources, he feared his safety. I spoke to Dunya Maumoon, the former foreign minister of Maldives, who is in the opposition, who is an opposition leader at the moment. She also confirmed that President Rajapaksa feared for his safety as he was on board the previous scheduled flight. So he was trying to board a private jet. We don't know yet whether this flight now he is on is a private jet or whether he is together with other passengers, but there were safety concerns.
Right, and this tallies with the fact he has not handed his resignation in officially yet, and that has to do with the fact that as a head of state he enjoys immunity from being detained along the way on his journey. Do we expect that his resignation will follow once he has arrived at his ultimate destination?
Yeah, there is an expectation here. Everybody believes the word. I mean, it's not that people believe President Rajapaksa anymore. They don't also believe Prime Minister or Acting President Ranil Wickremesinghe's words. But at the same time, Speaker Mahinda Abeyewardene has been announcing quite often. He has been in the media, and he said last night that he was expected to receive the letter by midnight yesterday. Now he has said he is yet to receive the letter, but the expectation is that once, as you correctly said, once the president reaches his destination, because he enjoys the presidential immunity when he arrives there, soon after that he is expected to hand in the resignation. But at the same time, the speaker has also told media that if the president does not tender his resignation, the speaker would seek legal advice onto other avenues, whether the speaker or the parliament can announce that the president has left the position.
Right, so one way or another, the presidency of Gotabaya Rajapaksa is coming to an end.
It is indeed.
Now,
I don't think he has any option to come back to Sri Lanka as the president.
Right, and the difference that is going to make, we hear that the protesters who have occupied several official buildings, they will then hand those buildings back to the authorities. What happens next?
I spoke to the protest leaders as well. There is a kind of a confusion among the protesters whether to hand over all the buildings or to hand over just 3 buildings and to keep the presidential secretariat which is next to Gotago Gama. I think the protesters are also trying to portray that, trying to give a signal that they are also law-abiding citizens. So, but they are saying, we heard what the speaker said. We are expecting the resignation of the president. So we don't have any reason to keep occupying these premises. But having said that, they are also saying that the peaceful protests will continue until the acting president or the Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe also resigns.
Very briefly, Saroj, just a question about the roots of this anger, the protests. Just what is life like in Colombo, in Sri Lanka right now?
People are extremely angry. Yesterday, a protester has died after the tear gas attacks, and I think more than 80 people have been hospitalized. People are frustrated, angry, and they are looking for immediate solutions as well as some sort of long-term solutions, because they are suffering at the moment like nothing ever before.
Okay, Saroj, we really appreciate your time. Saroj Patirana, journalist there, former BBC colleague in Colombo. Thank you very much.